Welcome to Lit Talks. Today we are going to discuss on Renaissance, a period of incredible artistic, cultural and intellectual rebirth that shaped the world as we know it today. The word Renaissance is a term that carries deep historical significance. But where does it come from and how did it come to define such an important period in history? Let's explore. The Renaissance is often said to have started with a significant historical event, that is, the fall of Constantinople in 1453. This event marked the end of the Byzantine Empire and led to the migration of Greek scholars to Italy. These scholars brought with them ancient texts and knowledge that would spark a cultural rebirth in Europe. The term Renaissance originated from the Latin word "renascere". Let's see what is Renaissance. The word Renaissance comes from the French language, which means rebirth. The word Renaissance shares similarities with the Italian word rinascita, which means rebirth or renewal. Toward the end of the 14th century, a few Italian thinkers said they were entering a new time. They believed the dark and backward Middle Ages had ended, and a new period of Rinascita or rebirth of learning, art, and culture had begun. This marked the start of what we now call the Renaissance. Let's see who used the term Renaissance and popularized. Here we go. 19th century French historian Julius Michel was one of the first to use the term Renaissance to describe the art of Italy. He argued that 14th century Italy had rebirthed classical antiquity through its emphasis on beauty, elegance, and a deep understanding of the human form. The 19th century Swiss historian Jacob Burckhardt also developed similar theories in his influential essay The Civilization of Renaissance Italy in 1860. Jacob popularized the term Renaissance that is so commonly used today. Long before Michel and Jacob, the first writer to make use of this word Renaissance in relation to the Renaissance period was the Italian 16th century writer Giorgio Vasari in his book Lives of the Most Excellent Painters, Sculptors, and Architects. With the Renaissance came many great artists, scientists, and thinkers. Some key figures of the movement included Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, and Galileo. During the Renaissance, writers and thinkers spent their time exploring their passions rather than working ordinary jobs or living a strict religious life. Instead, they enjoyed life pleasures, traveled around Italy, studied ancient ruins, and rediscovered Greek and Roman writings. During the Renaissance, people started to challenge old beliefs, especially those from the church. They used experiments and careful observation to understand how the world works. Leonardo da Vinci made detailed studies of things like flying machines and submarines and explored human anatomy. Galileo invented telescope. One of the biggest inventions of the Renaissance was Gutenberg's printing press in Germany. This invention allowed books and knowledge to be produced and shared widely for the first time. During the Renaissance, art was everywhere in Italy. You could see the famous sculpture of David by Michelangelo. Here, the paintings of Leonardo da Vinci's Mona Lisa and The Last Supper. During this time, artists and architects used ideas from ancient Roman art and architecture. For example, Filippo Brunelleschi designed a huge dome for the Florence Cathedral that was a remarkable engineering and artistic feat. He also developed linear perspective, a technique that makes painting look three-dimensional by showing how objects recede into space. Visual art was very much famous in Italy during the Renaissance. Let's see the humanism in Italian Renaissance. Renaissance scholars believed that ancient Greek and Roman writings were full of wisdom. They liked secular ideas, admired beauty, and focused on human achievements and expression. This belief in the importance of human potential and accomplishments is known as humanism. Humanism was a central philosophical movement of the Italian Renaissance, focusing on human values, reason, and individualism. It placed human beings at the center of the universe and greatly influenced literature of the time. Humanist writers explored themes like reason, individualism, and the human experience using literature to express and spread these ideas. Key humanist works include Pico della Mirandola's Oration on the Dignity of Man, Baldassare Castiglione's The Book of the Courtier, and Niccolo Machiavelli's The Prince. Humanism deeply impacted Italian Renaissance literature, shaping its themes and ideas, and had a lasting influence on European culture, including art, politics, and science. As European scholars traveled to Byzantium, they encountered the works of ancient thinkers, philosophers, and poets, texts that had been forgotten in the West. These scholars brought the texts back home, where they were translated into Italian. This translation process opened up a new world of ideas, exposing scholars and thinkers to the sophisticated concepts and values of ancient culture. Some of the most popular writers of this period included Virgil, Ovid, and Pliny the Younger, but two figures in particular stand out for their role in reviving these classical texts: Dante Alighieri and Petrarch. Let's see the great Italian writers. Dante Alighieri, one of the leading poets of the 14th century, was instrumental in this revival. His most profound work, Divine Comedy. Dante merged aspects of mythology and Christianity into a single cohesive work. Even today, the Divine Comedy is considered one of the finest literary contributions of all time, reflecting the intricate blend of ancient and contemporary ideas. On the other hand, Petrarch was primarily a scholar, passionately advocating for the study of classical texts over the ideas that had dominated the Middle Ages. Petrarch laid the foundation for a new school of thought called humanism. Like classical philosophy, humanism emphasized the importance of natural human qualities such as reason and rational thought. Humanism would go on to become one of the most influential movements of the Renaissance, shaping not only literature but also art, politics, and science. It marked a shift from medieval worldview to one that placed human beings at the center of the universe. So, as we look back, it's clear that the Italian Renaissance was a rebirth of ancient texts and rebirth of ancient art. Rediscovery of classical texts during the Crusades was more than just an intellectual curiosity. It was a springboard for the Italian Renaissance, a cultural rebirth that transformed Europe. Dante and Petrarch, through their writings and scholarly pursuits, played a pivotal role in this transformation, bringing the wisdom of the ancients into the modern age. Coming to Italian Renaissance poets such as Petrarch and Dante are celebrated for their mastery of the sonnet form. These poets often delved into themes of love and beauty, employing a strict rhyme scheme and metrical pattern to convey their thoughts and emotions. The Italian sonnet or Petrarchan sonnet is distinguished by its structure: an octave, which consists 8 lines, and a sestet, which consists 6 lines, separated by a volta or turn, which introduces a shift in the poem's subject or tone. In contrast, the English sonnet or Shakespearean sonnet is composed of 3 quatrains, which consists 4-line stanzas followed by a final couplet, 2 lines, often summarizing or reflecting upon the themes introduced earlier in the poem. Next, coming to the madrigal. Madrigals were another significant poetic form during the Italian Renaissance. These short lyrical poems were typically set to music and became highly popular in Italy. Madrigals often explored themes of love and nature, capturing the beauty and complexity of these subjects through intricate rhyme schemes and varied metrical patterns. Each stanza of a madrigal was crafted with careful attention to sound and rhythm, making them not only a literary but also a musical delight. In addition to sonnets and madrigals, Italian Renaissance writers were also known for their epic poems. Notable examples include Ludovico Ariosto's Orlando Furioso and Torquato Tasso's Jerusalem Delivered. These epic poems recount grand tales of heroic deeds and epic battles, drawing heavily on the influences of classical literature, particularly the works of Homer and Virgil. Both Orlando Furioso and Jerusalem Delivered are marked by their rich narratives, complex characters, and the blending of the history with mythological elements, reflecting the Renaissance's deep reverence for the classical past. During the Italian Renaissance, the novella emerged as a popular form of prose fiction, longer than a short story but shorter than a novel. Novellas typically delve into themes of love, morality, and human nature. Notable examples include Giovanni Boccaccio's Decameron and Matteo Bandolo's Novelli. The essay also gained prominence during this period. These short prose works explore specific topics or issues, often reflecting the influence of humanism and classical literature. Famous Italian Renaissance essays include Michel de Montaigne's essays and Francesco Guicciardini's Ricordi, both of which contributed significantly to the development of the essay as a literary form. Coming to symbolism and allegory, allegory was widely employed to represent abstract ideas through symbolic characters, objects, or events. Petrarch's Triumphs is a notable work consisting of a series of allegorical poems that depict the triumphs of love, chastity, death, fame, time, and eternity. These techniques allowed Renaissance writers to explore complex philosophical and moral concepts within their works. The final one, satire. Satire was a prominent genre during the Italian Renaissance, especially in the form of a satirical poetry. Writers used satire to criticize and mock social and political institutions as well as human vices and follies, often providing sharp social commentary and political critique. Italian Renaissance satirists employed various techniques, including irony, sarcasm, wit, and hyperbole, to convey their messages. Notable satirical works from this period include Pietro Artino's Sonetti Lussuriosi and Francesco Berni's Rifacimento del Mambrino, both of which exemplify the biting humor and critical insight characteristics of Renaissance satire. That's all about Italian Renaissance. Now coming to the English Renaissance. English Renaissance began under the Tudor monarchs, particularly with King Henry VII, but the real magic happened during the reign of Queen Elizabeth I. She was a huge supporter of the arts, and under her rule, some of the most famous works of English literature were created. Let's explore what led to the English Renaissance. During the Renaissance, people in England were eager to explore new ideas and new places. This was a time of excitement and curiosity as people looked beyond their familiar world. English Renaissance heavily influenced by the earlier Renaissance that happened in Italy. Just like in Italy, people in England started studying the classical Greek and Roman texts again. This rediscovery led to the new ways of thinking about art, literature, and what it means to be human. Another factor is the rational and scientific quest. People began focusing on using reason and science to understand the world better. It was all about questioning, exploring, and discovering new truths through careful thought and experimentation. One of the key factors that helped spread these Renaissance ideas was the invention of the printing press. As we know, in Italy the Renaissance was dominated by visual art. However, the English Renaissance was different. While Italy focused a lot on visual art, England's Renaissance was more about music and literature. By the time of Elizabethan age, England's literary culture had fully blossomed. Queen Elizabeth I was also seen as a part of the Renaissance. She supported the arts and she was not married but was known for being married to the nation. She even wrote some poems showing how royalty and culture were closely connected during her time. And also, drama and poetry were the leading genres in this English Renaissance, giving rise to some of the greatest names in English literature. Edmund Spenser's verse epic, The Fairy Queen, it is the one of the most influential works of the time, although it was later overshadowed by the arrival of poetic giants like Shakespeare, Wyatt, and Surrey. During this time, drama became very popular. Playwrights like Christopher Marlowe, William Shakespeare, Ben Jonson, John Lyly, and Thomas Nash were at the forefront. The theatre flourished with Shakespeare being a major figure, not only writing plays but also acting and owning part of a theatre. During this time, brilliant writers like William Shakespeare and Christopher Marlowe emerged. Their plays and poems are still loved today. Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet and Marlowe's Dr. Faustus are perfect examples of the creativity and deep thinking of the English Renaissance. But the English Renaissance was about more than just art and literature. It marked a shift in how people thought about themselves and the world around them. Ideas like individualism and human potential began to take center stage, shaping the future of Western culture. So that's a brief look at the English Renaissance, a time when England blossomed with creativity and new ideas that still influence us today. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe and hit the bell icon for more exciting content. Thanks for watching.